This episode is powered and sponsored by Fort Way Media. Whether it's a special event, your wedding day, or maybe a small business looking to make an advertisement or commercial, Fort Way Media is the obvious choice. They turn everyday life into a cinematic experience. When you want to capture those special moments, look no further. Stop what you're doing. Check out fortwaymedia.com, book an appointment today, and don't miss out on another chance to get what you want in front of the big screen. Whether it is expert videography or photography, Fort Way Media can match exactly what you're looking for. Fort Way Media is known for helping out small businesses and everyone reach their dreams. Sign up today.
Sound, speeding, camera, rolling, scene 58, take 303, mark.
Welcome to Take 303, powered by Fort Way Media, the podcast with a guy who knows a lot about film.
And his friend.
I'm Nick Molinari.
I'm JP Brooks. We're talking everything film and television, and today we're talking about the Oscars.
This is our first Broscars. It is the Oscars for the bros. No 3-hour telecast, no suits. We're in hoodies over here. And just the hardest of ratings, rankings, and predictions. And starting off our ceremony is a redo, which JP is stressing about while flipping off the camera as I shoot the camera to you. A season 1 redo throughout the year that we are going to pick 3 movies.
5 for me.
3 movies or 5, anywhere in between, of movies that we felt like we either gave too high of a rating or too low of a rating. I'll start it off first. I think I was way too harsh on Dungeons and Dragons early on in the year. I gave it 2 stars. I'm going to crank that up to 3.
My first one on the list, also Dungeons and Dragons. I thought I was too harsh. I went from a 3 to a 4.
It makes sense, yeah.
I was watching clips back and I was thinking about it. I really had a good time with that movie. You also came in too harsh. That's great.
Yeah, and then also here's where our brand just really comes through.
Yeah.
My next one is Fast X. I originally gave it a 2. I'm gonna crank that bad boy up to a 3.
No way! You're giving it a whole point?
Okay, well, hold up. Let me defend. We have seen so many bad movies within the last 3 months, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, Fast X really entertained the hell out of us. Like, when we really think, like, we were treated so well during the summer.
It's so crazy. With that line of reasoning, it's hard to disagree. I don't know if I'm going to move my rating. I don't know what I gave it. I think I looked at it when I was thinking about this list, but I think that's a fair point.
Your next movie?
My second one, and this is kind of a meme one, I did put The Flash for a 5. I gave it a 5-star. I think it goes without saying I dropped that to a 3.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And then I guess my last one, I know you have like 3 more in the pocket.
I do, yeah.
Love Again. I gave it a 3. I was really feeling the vibes. After thinking about it, it really should have been a 2.
A lot of respect. I'll go through mine really quick. Old Boy, I gave it a 4. That's a 5. And I don't know what I was thinking. That's a great story. I have 2 bonus ones. No Hard Feelings. I changed from a 3 to a 4.
It caught everybody really off guard.
And I think because of how little comedy comes out these days, this would have been a bigger hit. I think we've just been a little jaded. So I changed that. And I also, The Nun 2 is a 1. I thought back on I don't know why I saved it with a 2. It's a 1.
Respectfully.
All
right, so next we're going to head into some of our original awards that we're going to give out that mean literally nothing, but we're just going to give them out anyways.
Sure.
So we're going to start off with most overrated movies. Nominations are Barbie, Asteroid City, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We all know how that got on there. The Killer, and Wonka.
What would be your pick if not Spider-Man?
I probably would lean Asteroid City.
Okay.
In that one, but I'll let you give the award out.
Yeah, and without any further ado, the award goes to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for everything that it was said to be, hyped, the ratings. I think it is one of the more overrated movies to come out.
So not necessarily a bad movie for those listeners, but just didn't deserve the immense 5 out of 5
craziness that it got. Yeah.
Biggest Spider-Man movie of all time.
And the nominees for most underrated movie of the year. The Broscar nominations are Transformers: Rise of the Beast, Evil Dead Rise, Gran Turismo, Creed 3, and Thanksgiving. Nick, you hold the pick for this one. If I had to pick one here, I'd love to put Transformers: Rise of the Beast, but I think Thanksgiving is criminally underrated. That would be my pick, but Nick, you're in charge of the category. Who do you think gets it?
Well, yeah, I think all 5 of these really surprised me throughout the year. I was even really sketchy on Creed 3. And when I was watching, I was like, what is everybody talking about? It's so good. But I will lean Thanksgiving because literally yesterday, my dad was like, oh, what movies are new on Netflix and all these different things? And I see Thanksgiving there. I'm like, I really can't recommend a better movie than Thanksgiving right now because that has everything in it. So the Broscar for most underrated movie of the year goes to Thanksgiving. And next up, we have the nominees for most mid movie of the year. That is the movie that is just so average, just not good enough to be good, not bad enough to be bad.
And technically speaking, by our scale, we would call it the perfect 3, but out of 5, the midpoint is technically the 2.5. But this is the mid of the mids.
We had an issue last episode with a 3.8.
Oh, man. Craziness. But
Oof. The nominees are Blue Beetle, Extraction 2, Old Dads, Pain Hustlers, and Operation Fortune. The last one, I think, is the only one that you haven't seen.
I have not.
Yeah, it was a Guy Ritchie spy comedy, and it just really didn't hit for me.
No offense to Guy Ritchie, but he always has the opportunity to give something extremely mid.
So out of these, which one is most mid for you?
This is tough. I'm curious, who would you give it to?
Pain Hustlers, I think it's the one that just kind of like ripped off Wolf of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
If there had to be a contention, it would be like Old Dads because it felt more stand-up.
That's actually where I was going to lean. You know, it's funny. When you said Pain Hustlers, I was thinking of the
Dwayne Johnson.
I was thinking that, but now that you bring up Pain, so forgettable. Honestly, all these are great. I think any one of these can win, but I actually like your put in of Pain Hustlers. I think I forgot just how much I forgot that movie. I'm going to give it to Pain Hustlers. Pain Hustlers, most mid movie of the year. And that brings us to our next category, the Broscar nominees for the best stunt coordination. And the nominees are John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Extraction 2, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Now, Nick, obviously, there's only one animated movie here.
So that one's holding it down.
But I would have to give it to John Wick.
The staircase.
The
like
staircase.
Tom Cruise drove himself off a cliff, but Keanu Reeves threw himself down every single stair in the world.
Yeah.
At the same time. So, yeah, I will not disagree with that. That movie is just literally like 3.5 hours worth of just amazing stunts. And it was mind-blowing. So the winner, clearly, the Broscar for best stunt coordination goes to John Wick Chapter 4.
And I would say out of all of these, if you want to know why I got it, you have to go watch John Wick.
Yeah. And that brings us immediately to best action star. There's been some discrepancy lately over who is the best action star. Rachel Zegler got it. The nominees for the Broscars for best action star are Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves, Chris Hemsworth, Vin Diesel, and Jason Momoa.
So I think we've established at this point, you are the action guy. I'm going to pass this one to you if I can take funniest movie right after.
For sure. That makes more sense. Yeah.
It just makes more sense. So, Nick, I will tell you my pick. First off, Vin Diesel, Jason Momoa, they're out, right? They're on there.
Jason Momoa has been in two action films this year.
And he's held his own. I think Chris Hemsworth did a great job in Extraction 2. That's why it's also mid-movie of the year. I really think Tom Cruise almost revamped life into Mission Impossible at this point where we thought it was over. If I had to pick, I'd give it to Tom Cruise, but it ultimately is your decision. Who you giving to? Who's the Broscar?
Chris Hemsworth does an amazing job in Extraction 2. There's some really great stunt work in that too. You know, I go crazy over a good oneer, and that was a really good oneer, if I will say so myself. And it just looks so cool. Tom Cruise, however, has been redefining the action genre, and I would have to give it to him. He's like the granddaddy of action movies right now.
Next category, Broscar, is funniest movie of the year. And the nominees are, could have been comedy of the year, but we went funniest because it's a Broscar. I like that. And here are the nominees. Bottoms, No Hard Feelings, The Blackening, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Old Dads.
So I know you haven't seen, I think, 2 of these.
I've seen Bottoms. I haven't seen The Blackening.
Okay, so that is my pick.
The Blackening?
Yeah.
Oh, the one I haven't seen.
Do you know what it's about?
No.
Okay, so very quickly, there's this group of black friends that go to a cabin in the woods on Juneteenth weekend, and they're being hunted by a serial killer, and they have to play this board game to decide who is the least blackest, who's going to die first because they're all black, so who knows. It's very self-aware of it. and the jokes go by so fast. I swear, out of that entire list, I did not laugh more than I did with the blackening.
Really?
The blackening, I was laughing out loud the entire movie.
That premise alone is enough. Like, I don't even need to watch the movie.
It is on Stars right now, so if you have that, definitely go check it out.
I think Bottoms is funnier than No Hard Feelings, and I was gonna give it to Bottoms.
I was very surprised at Bottoms. I did not think it was going to play as well, and I thought it was funny.
So I think, even though I probably would watch No Hard Feelings before Bottoms, I think Bottoms is funnier. But just based on that premise alone and the fact that I want to go see it, I'm just going to give it to a movie I haven't seen. The Broscar goes to the blackening.
Very on brand for us.
It's on brand. I haven't seen it. Goes to the blackening. Great premise.
And the best blockbuster of the year, the nominees for the Broscar are John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Javan, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I really loved Javan as well. What about you?
I haven't seen Jawan. I saw lots of clips. Crazy movie. I think Guardians of the Galaxy, just because it came out so early, is being slept on. When I hear the term blockbuster, and I think that's really what the word is coming from here, Mission Impossible is the literal definition of blockbuster. The Broscar goes to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I can't believe I just gave a Broscar to a Part 1. So that'll just tell you how good that movie is.
The next Broscar is for Best Movie to Fall Asleep During.
And here are the nominees. The Meg 2 Trench, Insidious the Red Door, The Nun 2, Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, A Haunting in Venice. Now, Nick, this one, we need a consensus. This is we need a consensus here. I don't want one person to pick it. We really need to talk.
Okay, so I fell asleep during the Meg 2, Aquaman twice, and I fell asleep during Haunting in Venice.
I fell asleep during A Haunting in Venice, Insidious the Red Door, and Aquaman. You want to say it on 3?
Yeah.
One, two, three. A
Aquaman.
Haunting in Venice.
We both fell asleep twice.
Let's do that again.
1, 2, 3. Aquaman, the Lost Kingdom.
Broscar, Aquaman.
The next Broscar goes to The Strongest Back that's holding up a movie. The nominees are Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Russell Crowe in The Pope's Exorcist, Ezra Miller in The Flash, Megan Fox's teeth.
I forgot that was on there. I couldn't hold it. I'm sorry.
I'll leave it in. Megan Fox's t-shirt in The Expendables 4. And Mahershala Ali in Leave the World Behind.
Wow, these are tough.
Yeah, that t-shirt's really holding it through. But no, politically, I'm going to say, like, in real life, Ezra Miller really did.
Yeah. Like, Lily Gladstone, we're honoring, like, that's just an honor to Lily Gladstone. But it's not like the rest of the cast is awful.
Right.
She's just amazing. But
Russell Crowe just giving us life in The Pope's Exorcist. It's funny because that is also the first movie that we watched together for Take 303. When we both just looked at each other and saw Russell Crowe.
In greatness, really.
On a moped in Italy. Oh, good times.
Good times. So here's the thing. Russell Crowe is holding up the movie, but Russell Crowe is the movie. I think this is your pick, actually. I'm going to leave it in your hands because I feel like you are the person who won I Have a Fiance. To Megan Fox, respectfully. But I also think you're someone who sees the good in things.
If we remember our talk about Leave the World Behind, we really didn't have a lot of great things to say about it.
Yeah.
And the more we talked about it, the more our ratings dipped. So when I think about it, I feel like Mahershala Ali really did hold that movie together. So I'm going to give the Broscar for Strongest Back to Mahershala Ali.
And, of course, Russell Crowe, that doesn't take anything away from you in case you listen to the podcast.
Honorable mention. We love you, Russell Crowe. Biggest fan.
Our next Broscar category is Most Empowering to Women. The nominees are The Nun 2, The Exorcist Believer, Barbie, Joyride, and Poor Things. This is a tough one, Nick. This is a tough one.
This is a rough one, but not the roughest one on the list, if you remember.
Yeah.
Just going off of everything here, I think Joyride is a criminally underrated movie.
Yeah.
That kind of flew under the radar this year. Did you see it?
I did see Joyride.
Yeah, I was laughing hysterically throughout it. I also cried during the last 40 minutes of the movie.
It's so hard because the Nun 2, the scene where they touch hands and the demon goes away, there's nothing more empowering.
I'm leaning 100% the Nun 2 or Exorcist Believer to have zero references or expertise in something and just being called up to exorcise a demon. That's women empowerment right there.
I think it all depends on what your opinion on the word empowering actually means. So, Nick, obviously the logical choice, maybe you go Poor Things for, because it's so interesting. It's all a matter of perspective. Joyride is something, gather around and you can laugh together. But there is no scene greater than when two women touch each other's hands and the demon gets destroyed. For that scene and that scene alone, the most empowering to women, the Broscar goes to the Nun 2.
All right, and then we didn't plan this out, but luckily this is on my side. The next Broscar is for Best Nipples in a Movie. And the nominees for Best Nipples are Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings, Megan Fox in Expendables 4, Florence Pugh in Oppenheimer, Scarlett Johansson in Asteroid City, and Ryan Gosling in Barbie. The Broscar for Best Nipples in a Movie goes to Ryan Gosling. Yeah, you thought you had us. You thought, can't get us.
That's called the safety clause right there at the bottom. I'll be honest, Nick, I'm engaged, so the only name, I have Ryan Gosling's name written 5 times on my list. What about it? We are giving Broscar awards.
To ourselves.
We did Nick and JP's picks. That's when the movies are sucking at the theater, and we decided to give each other a recommendation. So out of all the things Nick gave me to watch, I picked my favorite one, and then Nick picked the movie he liked the most that I gave him. To start us off, Nick, the Broscar of all your recommendations goes to Dave. I think without a question, one of the best TV shows you've recommended to me. Not necessarily a movie, but it definitely captured my attention for a while, and I thought a lot about it. Love Little Dicky.
My Broscar for JP's best recommendation goes to The Way, Way Back. Who doesn't love a good coming-of-age story? Absolutely hysterical, lots of heart. I really connected it, really vibed with it. It's a great summer movie also. I feel like it's one that I'll go back to and watch again.
And Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell, yeah.
And we're moving on to our next category, simply titled The Baddie.
Well, Hollywood has the Razzie. We have the Baddie. It's the baddest movie of the year. And it doesn't take a lot.
I thought these were all Sydney Sweeney movies. All right. The Baddie nominations for the Broscar are The Nun 2, Insidious: The Red Door, Five Nights at Freddy's, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Silent Night, You People, Expendables, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. This is a tough category. I don't know how, Insidious: The Red Door, really, that movie's awful. Sylvester.
Yeah.
So You People, FNAF, and Insidious: The Red Door. This is really...
If you liked You People enough, I'll take it off my list.
I didn't, though.
But I'm saying, you think it's, meh.
I don't think it's as bad as FNAF.
My reasoning for that is if I'm not laughing at all in a comedy, I feel like that's bad.
Yeah. I'm down to give it to FNAF. Let's give it to FNAF. It was pretty freaking awful.
I like how this came down to a math equation of which two are worse than the others.
Yeah, what can I say out loud and live with? And I can say Insidious: The Red Door and You People are better than FNAF. I can easily say that. Yeah, that movie was awful. So, the Broscar for the Baddie goes to FNAF.
So we have just 2 more things to do before the end of this special. We're going to run through very quickly our Oscar predictions. JP and I both have a ballot in front of us. We circled all of our picks. We have no idea what each other picked. So this will be live reactions to our predictions. And then after that, we're going to hit you up with our top 10 of 2023.
Once we call it, no changing.
Yeah. No. No changing. I scratched out one on my paper, but these are the ones we're committing to. No changing from this. I'm going to take our 2 ballots. I'm going to compile them and then print that out and post that. All right. So, And the Oscar predictions for makeup and hairstyling, I picked Maestro.
I picked Oppenheimer.
Next one is costume design. I gave it to Poor Things.
I gave it to Barbie.
Documentary short film. I have seen none of these, but Nene and Y Po just stood out to me.
I have to give it to Nene and Waipo. It's an obvious choice. Haven't seen it, but
Obvious.
Just on name alone.
All right, documentary feature film. I went with To Kill a Tiger.
I also went with To Kill a Tiger.
My reasoning, I haven't seen any of these movies. My reasoning was that it's from India.
I went with because it's To Kill a Tiger. That sounds awesome.
It just sounds badass. Yeah. Next one is animated short film. Mm-hmm. And I went with Letter to a Pig.
I went with 95 Senses. I've actually heard and seen some stuff.
Next up, we have live action short film. And I went with The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
I also went with The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
Okay, I went with that one because it's directed by Wes Anderson.
Oh, I picked a Wes Anderson movie?
Yeah.
Well, then it's definitely not going to work.
You can change it right now if you want to, but then you have to commit to whatever you change it to.
Going Knight of Fortune.
All right, next we have production design, and I'm going to give that one to Poor Things.
I am giving it to Barbie.
That's the only one that I scratched out. I originally circled Barbie, and I crossed it out and put Poor Things.
They literally recreated a fake fantasy world of Barbie. Like, that's insane.
Next is visual effects. I went with Godzilla -1.
I also went with Godzilla -1. Have you seen shots of that?
Only seen like clips. I regret that we didn't get this onto the pod.
It's really good.
Yeah, I've only heard good things. Eddie said it was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, next we have sound, and I went with The Zone of Interest.
I went with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Next we have original score. I went with Killers of the Flower Moon.
I also went with Killers of the Flower Moon.
It had some good bops in the background.
Had some good bops, and I think just the topic, Native American culture, they really do a good job, or indigenous people, or whatever you want to be referred to as.
Next is original song. This is the only one that I will give to them, is What Was I Made For from Barbie.
I'm Just Ken from Barbie.
Next we have international feature film. Normally I would have said that Anatomy of a Fall should have been in this category.
I was very disappointed.
And should have taken the W.
Correct.
I also think that Zone of Interest can come out of nowhere and take this. But honestly, I think this is one of the ones that I might flub on. I'm going to give it to someone who I think deserves it, which is Society of the Snow.
That's where I went as well.
Okay, next we have animated feature film. Going off the Golden Globe win, I'm going to go with The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, that's going to win.
Next up is film editing. I went with Poor Things.
Went with The Holdovers. In a world where like everything is just super dramatized and super over the top or action, to get that to get that feeling, that good feeling, you need to edit it well. Poor Things would have been my other choice.
I see what you're saying. You're going for those invisible cuts.
Invisible cuts, yeah, like really well done.
Next is best cinematography. I went with a weird one. I went with El Conde.
What's that about? I haven't seen it.
I just hear a lot of things about it. It's a black and white film. It's on Netflix right now, and I think it's in Spanish. Yeah, black and white goes hard, yeah.
I went with Oppenheimer. I will never forget the scene when they first test the nuke.
I saw a really ass crane shot in Maestro this morning. I'm not going to forget that one, too. It had no purpose. I was like, JP was right.
Like most of them. Like almost all of them, yeah.
Next, we have Best Original Screenplay. I went with Anatomy of a Fall.
I regretfully also went with Anatomy of a Fall. Dude, what a sick screenplay.
Speaking of which, the next one is Adapted Screenplay, and I went with Poor Things.
I went also with Poor Things.
Next is Supporting Actress, and I went with Divine Joy Randolph.
I went with Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple.
You really hold strong on that one.
I do. She's great.
I still haven't seen The Color Purple yet.
Okay. It's a good movie.
Just making conversation.
I don't want to talk.
Okay. It was like I was just giving you some banter over here.
I think supporting one is a really tough role because oftentimes if you're a great supporting actress, it means you stole the show from the main person. And I feel like Danielle Brooks, in The Color Purple in particular, is stealing the show without overstepping somehow. She does a fantastic job.
Next up is Best Supporting Actor, and I went with Robert Downey Jr.
He'll probably win it, but I had to go my boy Ryan Gosling, putting it on his back, baby. Love that. Love that.
I think De Niro's great. I think he just gets overshadowed. I don't think Sterling K. Brown did it like a
Enough.
crazy good job. He's great. I don't think it was crazy. And I feel the same way about Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things.
Yeah.
All right, next is Best Actress. I went with Lily Gladstone.
All right, you know where it's going, Lily Glad.
Yeah. If it doesn't, what an upset.
If she doesn't win Best Actress of the Year, I didn't watch the Oscars, but I'm definitely never watching it.
Wait, are you gonna be watching
No.
it this? Okay.
Fuck these people.
You're just gonna get my. So you want the live updates from me again?
No, I don't give a shit. Dude, I won the Golden Globe. Dude, I dunked on it. That's all I need.
Eddie would argue that the Golden Globes don't mean anything, and the Oscars is where that.
I would argue that Eddie's opinions don't mean anything. Oh, shit, look at me. Now look, I have an opinion, Eddie. Oh, you don't matter. He destroyed me. Now I destroyed him. Now he doesn't matter. Golden Globes matter. I gotta win. It's so funny what matters to him, and it seems that all the shit I win doesn't really matter. But all the shit he wins, well, it's a pretty big fucking deal.
Who did better in fantasy football?
This year? We're not in the same league. You can't ask that question.
I thought he was with you.
No.
I don't know.
But he also didn't win once.
I guess that's why I never heard about it.
Oh, boo!
Next is Best Actor. I went with Cillian Murphy.
Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Next we have Best Director. I'm a little bit torn on this one. The same as I was with the Golden Globes. It's between, Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese.
It's not.
It's your opinion.
There you go,
Yeah,
buddy.
it goes back to you.
Yeah, buddy.
I say it because Scorsese, the odds of him getting to this point again at age 80, he's running out of years. So he's got to get his second one in, potentially. And then Christopher Nolan has never won it ever. And he's had so many good movies that he could have gotten it for. I'm going to say Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's going to get the Best Director one.
So I'm going for the one that I think will steal it. That if there's any category to get robbed, if it's one thing I've learned about Oscars from Leonardo DiCaprio is it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it, until they decide you're worthy of it, you ain't shit. Going Anatomy of a Fall.
And without further ado, the last award that we're going to predict is Best Picture of the Year. Between all the awards it's been getting throughout the season, I think there is one clear front runner, and if it doesn't win, I would be very surprised if it didn't. So I'm going to go Oppenheimer.
Same for me.
To end this out, the top 10 movies of 2023.
As silly as I am, they're serious to me. And so,
yeah. I've had like 2 different conversations this week explaining the insanity that happens between you and me.
Yeah.
Because as much as JP and I joke around during the podcast and even outside of that, we're constantly having fun, but we go hard on the Google Sheets. Like the Google Docs, the Google Sheets, we are very well organized in terms of like our lineup. We schedule things out. We have templates for all these different things. Over the course of season 1, I don't know if you counted, we watched 91 movies and or TV shows.
That's crazy.
That's not even counting the horrid 31 Days of Halloween.
Never again.
Never again. You know what? Next year for Halloween, we're just going to repost the same one from last year.
I could have no job and be making millions through crypto, and I'd still want to do that shit again.
It was so bad. Without dragging this out, we're going to go back and forth.
Sure.
As long as you didn't, add 13 to your top 10.
No, do you have any honorable mentions? Do you want to get those out of the way?
I could do honorable mentions.
Yeah, I have 2. I've only got 2 I want to mention because they did make my list, but I refused to take them off. So I ended up with 12. So I have 2.
I knew it.
I
felt it. I felt it in my plums.
You know my background. Come on now.
How about you do your honorable mentions so I can look for mine?
In no particular order, I have Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, and No Hard Feelings.
That's fair. Very popcorn movies. And while I was looking at it, I feel like you now. I have 3 honorable mentions.
Suck my dick, boy!
My 3 honorable mentions are Thanksgiving, Javon, and The Blackening.
Okay.
Rounding off my top 10 is just something for me. It screams 6.
When you said it screams 6, I'm like, you mean like the number? Like it screams 6. Like it could be 6 on this list. And I'm like, what? And at my number 10, I have Thanksgiving.
For me, number 9 is Poor Things.
Poor Things is not on my list, just as a sneak peek. Poor Things is a movie I would go back and watch again. However, at number 9, I have Transformers Rise of the Beast, top 10, slept on movie. Transformers is so good. They brought it back. It's silly. It's fun. And I don't know what his name is, the new lead they got.
Anthony Ramos.
Anthony Ramos.
I'm doing good with names today.
You are doing very good with names today. But Anthony Ramos, to bring back life into a franchise, and for someone like me who put Shia LaBeouf, I associate him with the Transformers. I think he did a great job. I had a ton of fun with Transformers.
For me, number 8 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even consider that for the list.
Bro, we talked about it.
But Guardians is a good movie. Definitely an honorable mention worthy. For me, I have number 8 at Talk to Me.
A movie that I really loved. It's May, December. Number 7. It's with Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman. It's on Netflix right now. It is so good. I don't want to tell you anything about it. I'll just say, do not read anything about it. Just watch it.
For number 7, I actually... Boy, does it hurt to have it on this fucking list. Let me tell you, especially someone like me. I almost made a rule that I wouldn't put these kind of movies, but here it is. Number 7, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I am disgusted with myself for what I have on there, but anyway.
All right. We're doing number 6?
Sure.
My number 6 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
And for me, it's Oppenheimer. I'm not watching that 3-hour bullshit again, but it's a great movie. And we'll switch it up. I'll go first for the next top 5.
Sure.
At number 5, I have Anatomy of a Fall.
Number 5 for me, coming from someone who loves action movies and was at the theater every other week as a child, I have to give it to John Wick Chapter 4.
I'm curious what the rest of yours are. If you have John Wick at number... I usually thought that would be your number 2. Number 4 for me is Dumb Money.
My number 4 is Rocky or Ronnie, Ki Prem Kahani.
Not surprised, yeah.
Yeah. Put in one of my Bollywood movies in there. The best theater experience I had all year. And I'm so sad that you didn't get to see it.
I'm actually disappointed too. I think the next Bollywood movie you go see, I'm just coming. I'll make time for it.
But it was just like, it's such a cheesy rom-com also. So I was like, it can't go that high, but it just was such a feel-good movie.
Well, that being said, we go to the top 3 now. Number 3, despite my rating, John Wick Chapter 4. John Wick's action scenes were fan-freaking-tastic.
My number 3 choice is a movie that elicited so much emotion from us, is Anatomy of a Fall.
Second place, runner-up for 2023. One of the earlier movies we watched, but I think I would sit down and watch it with my dad. I would sit down and watch it with anybody, anytime. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. And I think it's a movie that's probably going to be forgotten about.
For me, number 2, I put Killers of the Flower Moon at number 2.
Wow. Okay.
I switched it because I also think like Killers could have been shorter.
Yeah.
Whereas my number 1 pick, I feel like, was just the right amount, and you really couldn't shave too much off of it. So without any further ado, your number 1 pick of 2023.
Well, I think yours is obvious. We'll leave the people in a little suspense because I'd love to hear what your guesses are for mine. But for yours, Nick, I'm assuming it is
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for you, my number 1 movie of 2023 goes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
You know, I thought of that one, and I think that's the one that I was scrolling through and I missed.
First off, I'd watch it anytime. It's taking the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle as teenagers. What a great concept, because they don't always act like teenagers. They act like more like young adults or college students. It has a great story. It's taking a franchise that most people consider dead or really not as relevant as it used to be, bringing it back. The villain was great. There was even some twists and turns. I cannot wait till they make the second movie for this one. It is one of the only ones on this list that I would watch it before any of all of these again, just because I had such a great time with it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me, best movie of 2023.
As much as we joked around with the Broscars, a lot of it was really to highlight movies that either we didn't get to talk enough about or movies that just kind of flew under the radar. And I feel like if you are a regular moviegoer, hopefully there's more people out there that are listening and they want to hear what we have to say. I had a really fun time with the movies this year. I think there were a lot of surprises. I think the biggest surprise for me was probably Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
I did not think I was going to love it as much as I did. And yeah, I'm just excited for what 2024 brings. I know we already technically started season 2, but movies that I'm really looking forward to, Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Civil War looks really cool. Monkey Man.
Oh, that looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
What about you?
There's something about going to theater. It is magical. Thank you to Cole Kidman for reminding me.
I'm always watching movies. Like that's, part of my job essentially. And I think there's something to be said where we always hear the comments that like movies are not original and we're running out of ideas and Hollywood is dead. I really don't think that's the case.
I definitely don't think that's the case either.
And I think that's coming from a lot of people who maybe their only times at the movie theater this year was to go see Barbie or something like that.
Barbie, Oppenheimer, Marvel.
Yeah. Like if you're only going to see the hits, yeah, you're going to feel that it's stale. But there's a lot of originality at the movie theaters. I think people just need to explore that more.
Yeah. I mean, that's why too, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the reason it's my number one is it's also to prove a point that like superhero movies and stuff, as much as we are sick of it, can still be done well if you do it right. That's it. That's 2023's Oscars. We'll see if we're right, if we're wrong. Thank you all so much for listening. We're almost coming up to our 1-year anniversary of Take 303. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you watch the Oscars, great. I won't. But let me know how it is in the comments. This week's question of the week is, what do you think is most deserving for Best Picture of the Year? Let us type in the comments. We'd love to hear your answer to that question. And this week's poll question of the week is, what has been in Oscar history the worst snub or the greatest snub, depending on how you think of snubbing? What was the worst snub of all time? Who got robbed? We'll have a few up there. Nick's good with all the Oscar history. I'll put a bunch of good ones. Make sure you follow us at Take.303 and FortWay_media. Check out what we're doing. Plenty of reels will come out of this episode, I'm sure. Hopefully you've seen them. Catch us next time when we watch Imaginary bonus episode plug-in. Catch you next time, guys. Bye-bye.